would have never known that either.
I think it was my first block class in Vernon. And Dr. Reynolds, who was that professor, it was my first block class, used that word, I know. And I, congratulations on that. No,
Thank you.
somebody told me.
And you know, Gary,
Should be just fine. You can raise them up or split them up. Take your budget.
Or legislative. Chief, are you ready?
I think we're good. I have nobody on.
I want to officially call this meeting of the Mount Vernon City Council to order, and I think we may have some people on Zoom. Can you check that?
Are your mics turned on?
Yep,
Okay,
mine.
very good.
All right. First item on the agenda, and welcome to everybody that is here tonight, first of all.
A battery.
Yeah, you're good. Turn it on.
Oh, that switch.
I didn't, yeah,
And then press the
sorry.
It's okay. Shows how spoiled we are.
There you go.
I was just gonna say, I can't figure out the red button, so don't worry about it. It's okay.
Okay, we're going to do that.
Well, that's
Now
fine.
that we're past that, welcome to everybody to this meeting, and first item on the agenda is to approve the agenda that was sent out last Friday. Any changes, or are we ready to move with that?
I'll move
So you want?
Thank you, Deb. Is there a second?
Second?
Greg? Moving and seconded to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Next item is communications. Is there anybody here that wishes to address the city council on an item not on the agenda? You can come forward and state your name and address, and you have 5 minutes to speak. Is there anybody here to address that?
Yeah.
Mr. Delancey.
J. Delancey, 509 Scobie Road. This is pretty fancy, I've never been in this yet. I'm here because I'm representing veterans, and I'm very disappointed in you guys letting the fire station not be turned into a community type center and wellness, or I mean, a thing for vets. I want you to understand Mike somewhat, because I've gotten to understand veterans now, because I've dealt so much work, and now I'm doing down at the VA, and hopefully eventually I'll be able to volunteer down at the VA and help with vets, so I encourage you guys to do that so you learn where a veteran's mind is at and where their mindset is. And two, they're building a new World War II museum down at Mays Island that'll open up in June of this coming year. So take your family and show some appreciation to people that have given their lives and their soul and half their mind. My thing is with this fire station, Mike is 100%, you're okay, right? 100% wounded vet, all right? Has any of you ever talked to him and listened to what he went through in Vietnam? Anybody? All you want to do is just think he's an ass or something. This guy has been through the swamps. They would pull into villages in the Viet Cong type areas. They would take women and slice them from their coochie all the way up to their throat and pull their tongue through and hang them on a
This is public comment,
yeah.
but let's keep it
okay,
clean.
okay, from their lower end to their top half, okay, is that better? But I'm just saying, these people are messed up somewhat in the head, they're not straight people. I mean, you can't tell me that that kind of crap wouldn't affect you. And don't tell me that these guys that just fought in Afghanistan and what was the one before that? Help me out, Mike. What was the war before Afghanistan? Iraq. Some of those people are going to start getting messed up in the head because they actually had to shoot children because they had to protect their unit. And I would like you guys, for a town that has so much damn money apparently, to build something just to say, hey, that's cool. Or somebody drives through on their Harley or their hot rod and goes, wow, this town must like their vets a little bit. Yeah, I understand the memorial down at the cemetery. But truthfully, how many people want to go down to the cemetery and hang out at a cemetery to look at a veterans thing? This was a perfect opportunity for so many things. And two, we have that child now with the news report that has cancer here in town local. Think of the fundraisers we could have had in there, chili suppers or auctions or something. Two, you got that whole side of that building. Since this town is artsy fartsy and likes all that stuff, but I like some of it too. Think of the murals you guys could have painted there. To all 5 branches of the service, even cops and fire department and EMTs. You had the chance to do that, and you sold it to a secretary that works here, and then she gets a $100,000 grant. I'm going, why can't you get that for veterans? For anything VA? We got a president right now that is handing out money to all communities. I don't get it. And I'm trying to stick up for these guys. That must be what I was put on this planet for, because I got lucky. I didn't have to shoot anybody, and nobody had to shoot me. So I did 6 years in the service. But this town shows nothing, as far as I'm concerned. I'm with him. And I'm not listening to him. I see it. I mean, we have a community center we built. We got a police station we keep throwing money at that I can't see where the hell that's all coming from. And I said, and then I live on a side of town where you guys won't provide storm sewer or sewage, but you make me pay for it on my frickin' ticket every month. And then you yelled at me one day saying I should have known that. I didn't know that when I moved into that place 17 years ago. There was a water issue. But I have found a law that says every township in Iowa will provide storm sewer and sewage and all utilities equally to all patrons of the town. So it's how far I want to push it. So it's kind of deciding, because either I put a new septic in or I can start fighting you guys. But I want to do it the right way and have you guys get this done. You keep coming up with money, and I want to know. And then going back here to this, one person griped, said it had to come down because the engineer said. Other people said it's because it wouldn't be cost effective or something. Chris, are we in the red or are we on the green on the rec center down in front of the high school? Have we come out of the red yet?
Jay, this is public comment time.
Yeah, but I'm trying to compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges.
And
You know, because I don't think we would have lost money. Because I think we would have found people to volunteer and throw money at it. I mean, look what happened to the football field. Look at the money that was thrown at that. What makes you think that wouldn't happen? And then let's remember too, we're a town of 4,400 people. We have 4 football field track stadiums, more or less, of a town. Why do we need that many? What is the reasoning behind that? And kids are going out for less and less sports. So I was like, I mean, it's a good thing. It looks good. So I'm just sitting here griping. Yeah, I'm griping. Because I served this country 6 years, and now I know of 3 guys that have moved from here, and 1 guy that won't get involved no more.
Jay, we have 15 seconds.
All right, that's good. That's all I wanted to know. I want you guys to start getting into your conscience and think about this.
No problem. Thank you very much, Mr. Delancey.
Yep.
Yes, Dr. Montgomery.
I'm the guy pointing to you. I am 100% disabled, but I'm not dangerous. Okay? I have a couple of questions. Once before, maybe twice before, I've asked the council or someone from the council, isn't there a law, how many vehicles or how many pieces of crap you can have in your yard at one time? Every day I see a house that has 5 vehicles set in there, and only one of them has a license plate, 3 riding lawnmowers, and nothing's ever said, but on the other side of town, we get taking pictures and raising hell about some of the stuff in your yard. What, I mean, you gotta have the pictures of somebody to get something done, or what?
Usually it's a formal complaint at City Hall.
Huh?
Usually it's a formal complaint at City Hall, but go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Well, I just don't know, look at that. I was told, how about the road, I don't know, the park road that goes in front of it. Anyhow, the one you're supposed to fix, that you're just fixing the new end of.
About Palisades Road?
Palisades Road, yeah. That's as rough as a cow, but that's one of the busiest streets in town. I thought we were gonna fix it last year. No, I mean, there's things going on around here. I try to keep to myself for the good of the community. But there's things going on that, people need to know about. Everything is hush-hush. You can't say nothing. You gotta be a friend of this guy. You gotta have a picture of this guy having carnal knowledge of a dog or something to get anything done.
Again, let's keep it clean here.
That's as clean as it's gonna get. Just get shit done. That's what you're here for. You're here to serve us.
Thank you for your comments, Dr. Montgomery. Anyone else here? Any public comments?
Huh?
If we have no other comments, we'll move on to the next item with which is oath of office, Mount Vernon-Lisbon Police Department. Chief, you want to give an introduction?
Sure, thank you, Mayor. We got Cal Vaughn, city employee for the city of Mount Vernon, but also going to be a reserve has been a reserve officer for us for a few months now as well. And then next to him is Austin Oates. Austin was I met him first working for the Lynn County Sheriff's Office as a deputy sheriff. He's currently working for University of Iowa and wants to be a part-time officer for our department while he's going through there. So just have the privilege and honor to add them to our team and administer their oath this evening.
That sounds good. Just stand up and repeat after me here. Raise your right hand, correct?
Yep, correct.
Okay. With this oath of office, I state your name.
I, Austin Oates,
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and that I will faithfully and impartially, to the best of my ability,
and that I will faithfully and impartially, and to the best of my ability,
discharge all the duties of the office of police officer
discharge all the duties of the office of police officer
in the cities of Mount Vernon and Lisbon,
in the cities of Mount Vernon and Lisbon,
as now and hereafter required by law.
as now and hereafter required by law.
Congratulations. And I will note that this has been witnessed
Thank you.
this 4th day of December 2023 in the city of Mount Vernon, Iowa, and my signature will get that officially recognized. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Welcome aboard.
Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. And we've got one item, that is the city council minutes from November 20th.
Unless there's discussion, I would move approval of the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you, Scott. Is there a second?
I will second.
Motion on the floor to approve the consent agenda. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. No public hearings or ordinance approvals. We move on to the resolution for approval. Project known as the Business 30 Culvert Repair with Dave Schmidt Construction. Do you want to add anything, Chris?
No, the project's completed. The repair is completed. So it's just a matter of accepting the improvements. You saw the information from B&K Engineering regarding the project. So this resolution approves the project, and then we'll then go ahead and agree to give away the contingency after the 30-day waiting period.
Sounds good. Any questions of Chris or staff?
I would move to approve Resolution 12-4-2023A, accepting the work for the Business 30 culvert repair.
Thank you, Craig. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Deb. Moved and seconded to accept, move forward on resolution 12-4-2023A. That's a roll call vote. We're ready to vote. Marcia?
West,
Yes.
Engel,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
That motion carries. That resolution carries. Next one is approving the final plat of Stoner Plaza 10th edition. Council action is needed. Any introduction, Chris?
This is a two-lot subdivision, one buildable, one outlot. So the north lot will be an outlot, partly because stormwater issues are going to require us to design a system, and we're not sure exactly how much of that outlot's going to be needed for it. And then the southern lot, lot one, the buildable lot will be for the 30-unit LMI project that CHI is going to start construction on next spring. I will say this, normally the developers will put the streets in. In this instance, the city will, because we can use low to moderate income funding. We've got to find a home for all of those funds. So Glen Street extended, and then whatever we decide to name the north-south proposed street on the east side will be our project. So B&K Engineering is actually working on that as we speak.
Okay. Questions of staff?
I would, unless there are, I would move approval of resolution 12-4-2023B, approving the final plat of Stoner Plaza 10th edition.
Thank you, Scott. Is there a second?
Second.
Scott. I'm glad we're moving forward on this. This has been a long time coming, so. Deb, I'm sure, with housing commissions, it's been a long time coming there. That is, it's been moved and seconded to move forward with the resolution, and now it's roll call vote time for Marcia.
Herman,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Engel.
Yes.
That resolution passes. Moving on to motions for approval. Marcia sent out the latest claims list this afternoon. Any questions of staff about that? Ready to accept the motion? Pass?
I'll move approval of the claims as presented.
Thank you, Deb. Second?
I'll second.
Scott. Moving seconded to move forward on the latest edition of the claims list. We're ready to vote on that. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next motion is regarding pay application number 1 on Business 30 culvert repair.
And as you just said, this work is all done.
So, I take that as a motion.
I was just getting confirmation from Chris there, but sure, I would move to approve pay application number 1, Business 30 culvert repair.
I'll second.
Okay. Ready to vote on that motion? It is a voice vote, and all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item for motion for approval is pay application 11 on the police department renovations. Chief, do you have anything to add to that?
We started demolition on phase 2 today, so electrical demolition last Friday, and then actual demolition of punching holes in walls and stuff like that today. So quite noisy on my side and very peaceful on Tasha's side now. So we flipped from there, but good progress. And they were going to do final inspection. I thought it was today, but I didn't see anybody around. So they must have rescheduled, and I just haven't heard when that was going to be on the phase 1. So should be soon.
Not necessarily specifically to this pay application, but I did want to give the council a heads up that the hallways on either side of the renovated, whatever the sanctuary, what we're going to call that area now, the ceiling tile on both sides were damaged, not intentionally, but just part of the construction project. So I have asked Septicon to work with the individual who did the ceiling tile work and renovated to give us a cost estimate just to replace the tile.
So that was new ones that were?
Yeah. I can't imagine it'll be a great deal of money. The grid in most of the area is actually fine. It's just the tiles themselves.
Isn't this kind of
Yeah.
exactly?
Part of the grid kind of is sagging in a portion of it from the old, when they tore out. I don't know if it was wall structure stuff, but it's now sagging and looks terrible.
Some of the
from there, so-
ductwork was not hung well, and so when they were starting to do the demolition work, the outside started to press down on certain tiles. So it just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to spend about $1.2 million on renovating the structure and then leaving those two.
Do we have any recourse to the people that did that work?
No. And it wasn't necessarily, it wasn't the contractor that was really doing, they were working inside and demoing the other area, and because some of the ductwork wasn't attached or
Oh.
done properly on the other areas, just started,
Pre-existing
Yeah.
condition,
Yeah.
if you will.
so.
Yeah, I see
And we,
what you mean.
among other things, finding different things in the closets and stuff like that. It was just a different construction process, so, yeah.
Noteworthy in Chief Shannon's last email to us about the public access being open again on the west
Right.
side. That's good.
Correct.
That's available.
Yep.
So that's good. And the storage unit out of the parking lot too.
It is. I picked that up the other day too, so
Good.
looking more normal.
So I'll move approval of pay application number 11 on the police station in the amount of $86,393.
Thank you, Deb. Is there a second?
I will second that.
Greg.
212,000 to go.
Okay.
Really, you're getting close.
Motion on the
Thankfully.
floor, pay application 11 on the police department. If you're ready to vote, all in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is regarding the zoning request, comprehensive plan, Stoner Plaza 10th edition.
This is just
Set a
setting the
public hearing date,
public hearing
actually,
date, but the rezoning, again, goes per CHI, that individual lot, now that it will be, is a lot. We have a legal description that we can utilize for the rezoning. So the business 30 bypass plan talked about compatible uses, these are compatible uses. The one issue that we have is it's currently general commercial, and so the setback and certain other parameters that aren't specifically spelled out in the overlay fall back to that base zoning. So that's kind of the reason for changing this base zoning district back to a mixed use, is it gives more flexibility to their project.
And that will be what the public hearing is about.
Correct. Yep.
And the date is January 2nd.
Took a little while.
We're just setting a public hearing date.
Yeah, in that case, I would move approval of setting the public hearing date for this project to the first meeting in January.
Second.
Scott and staff. Moving second, it's the public hearing date on that project for the January 2nd meeting. If there are no other questions, we're ready to vote on that one. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Discussion items, current pool discussion. Mr.
So this is just kind of an update for the council. Matt and myself, other staff met with Water's Edge to discuss the existing pool. So real brief kind of synopsis for everybody. The proposed pool replacement, $12 to $13 million, not probably going to be feasible for the next 7 to 10 years, depending. So the question is, what do we do with the existing pool right now in order to continue operation and have a pool until it becomes feasible? So in talking with Water's Edge, when they looked at the existing pool, it was, how do you make this pool go another 25 to 30 years? Because if you're going to completely renovate an existing system, obviously you want it to last a great deal of time. So their belief is they can do some things that would be less expensive to the existing pool to get it to go another 10 years.
Yeah.
With that being said, I'm going to forewarn everybody, even doing the renovations, it's probably a $1 to $2.5 million project just to get the existing pool to make it 10 years. And because of that, the existing pool needs to be lined. The gutter system, it's a proprietary system. We don't own the rights or the measurements or anything of that nature, so everything is custom if we continue to try and fix it. But that's where they're starting to see the majority of the spalling of the concrete, so that needs to be corrected. For those that have been there, the two, what I would consider kid slides, have been removed. That structure is unsafe, and I had the staff just take it out. Unfortunately, the diving boards are next. And then what do we do with apparatus to make people want to obviously come and swim at the pool? So
And all those would be addressed in this $1 to $2 million.
that is the hope, yes. And you'll have options. We've asked for options. There will be, maybe a larger slide, because we will likely not have 2 diving boards anymore. We'll have to probably go back to the one. So the 3-meter diving board, one of the issues is the angles after they dive and then come back up. And our pool is just like right on the verge of being legal by today's standards. And so that's kind of the dilemma that we have in front of us. The bathhouse is actually in pretty good shape, and I don't think we have to do much to that. But what we've told Water's Edge is this is what we'd like. We want them to come back with options to present to the council. I don't know, did they estimate a timeline for that?
January 1.
January 1. So here's the bad news. nothing that we get done, even if you were to decide that initial night that they came and gave a presentation to you, that these are what you wanted to do, nothing would get done this spring before the pool opens. So my plan is to make the existing system as safe as it is and to open the pool this year with the possibility of either closing early, a week or two to start the construction process. In the meantime, whatever you decide is what we would probably bid with a hard start date. The reason for that is mainly because of supply and demand. We're still dealing with those issues. So whatever you decide, we might have to order now just to have available by next, fall for construction. So that is kind of where we're at this point.
That'd be the case even if we had $13 million.
Yes.
Yes,
We still wouldn't have it fixed up
correct.
for this spring anyway.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, the thought was is if we had an opportunity to move forward with the new pool, we would limp the existing pool along
And build it
while the construction
building
was
it,
going
yeah.
on, and then, hopefully.
Side by side, whatever.
Yeah. But, like I said, I couldn't in good conscience let the 2 slides go another year. There's just too much degradation.
So just asking the question, Chris, because you can't do it with the gutters and you can't with the liners, but with the slides, is there such a thing as, purchasing them with the possibility of later moving them?
I think it depends on what option you guys decide to go with moving
Okay.
forward. So at least in Matt and I's conversation as we're going through this process with Water's Edge, there are going to be some apparatus that I think have the potential to be moved to a new location, depending on whether or not Iowa can sign off on them, 10 years from now.
And 10 years in pool equipment that is sat out in the sun and used hard is a long time. So even if they can be used, let's understand, we're not going to get another 10 years out of
Yes,
them when
but
we bolt
let's
them
keep
into
in
the new
mind
one.
that
Yeah.
how long has some are.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Right. This
10
thing was
years isn't
built
that
for
long.
25 and we're going,
No, if we
Yeah.
decide to, here's,
I mean, I'm just thinking.
it's about
if
the
we
money.
Cut down what we
I
have
think
to
is what I would
invest
tell you.
then.
If we go and decide to spend $1 million, there aren't going to be nice features that are going to move. If we spend on the higher side and get some nicer structures, then yeah, they have the potential, at least I think, from what we saw. There were a couple that I was like, they would still be fun, 10 years from now, but I won't guarantee it. That was kind of our marching orders back to Water's Edge was, if we can, let's. But we have, the point being to the public is we have parameters. We know how much a new pool is going to cost. We know how much it's going to cost to renovate the existing pool. We know the timeline. So all of that kind of playing in together, it would be an absolute minimum of 7 years.
So how much maintenance, just roughly, do, absent redoing the liner and the gutter and blah, 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 just on an annual basis, what maintenance do we put into that existing pool that would intend to be somewhat fixed by this $1.2 million? I mean, because we're not going to spend that money, we're going to spend $1.2 million instead, right?
Right. So I would say this, the slides are gone, the boards are next. I can get them through this year. I will not probably allow the pool to open with them past this year.
Fair.
So those are 2. We have continuous water loss, so
Are we
the
going
cost,
to, would we intend to try to fix that? or
as
we
much
just
as
gonna-
humanly possible. We're still going to have water loss, but we're trying to reduce
Yep, yep.
the amount of gallons that we lose.
And it's like tens of thousands right now.
Yes.
It's not just,
The pool heater is not working.
One shot.
One a shot. That's disappointing. I've been here 7 years and that was a project that was done just before I got here. So those are items. that we would have to fix regardless. The gutter system is a hodgepodge every year. We've had some people weld those plates just to recreate, because again, there's nothing on the open market that we can go to. They were all proprietary when it was first constructed. My concern is the concrete around the gutter system and the spalling that is happening. It could go 10 years, Deb. I won't say that it couldn't. It could be next year and we lose more chunks of it, and then when we do, we don't pass inspection. So,
I just wanted to be.
I would say this, the public works staff probably spends 2 to 3 weeks. 2 to 3 weeks,
And they're not free.
easy, no.
So they're doing the pool instead of doing something
Correct.
else. So,
And it happens to be the busiest time of the year, obviously, when we're trying to get the pool put together in May. And they've got everything else going on, chock-a-block and things like that. So,
Graduation.
yeah. But it's a lot of money, you know. This is the worst part for me to sit here and tell you is, in order to hit the window, to have enough money, we're gonna have to spend a lot more money than I want to do. So, here's the other thing. I do think it will give the council 10 years from now options as well. I don't think it is, we are going into this where we're gonna make these improvements and in 10 years, they're just gonna all fall apart. It's not that. If they make it 10 years from now and say, we've got other priorities, we're gonna have to keep going for a couple more. That'll be up to somebody at that point to make those decisions. So I wanna make sure that I know that, A, it's safe for the kids and the users of the pool while I'm still here. And it's still fun. I think that's the worst part is, I take the slides out, I'm about ready to make a recommendation to take the diving boards out, and I have to spend money in order to put some things back so kids and adults want to come and use it. And there's all sorts of, we talked about this at the meeting, there's all sorts of things that could happen right now. Springville, Lisbon, Solon, Ely, they don't have pools. We do. In the next 10 years, maybe they decide to build one and we lose some of that revenue that comes in and changes the dynamic. I don't know. There's a lot of things that could play out, but my goal here was to get Water's Edge working on a solution so that you had, you know, at least a couple months to kind of stew over the possibilities and then see where that number's at. How are we going to pay for it? And when those renovations would potentially start. I will tell you, I have Fort Horton staff expect the 3-week option for this spring. Like we are going to figure out a way to get it open and successful.
Well, the thing that I have appreciated about this and bringing in Water's Edge is this is the first time that as I feel like we're being proactive about it. Most of it has been reacting to water loss and having to dig up the concrete to figure out what's underneath to fix that other thing. And, you know, just, that's the history of the pool that we've had recently. So those 3 things you mentioned, knowing what a new one would cost, knowing what it's gonna take to fix this one, and the third, which I'm blanking on, but just operating from actual facts, as opposed to, here's what we think, let's try that and see what
Yeah, I mean, I
happens.
can go out and show you on the 1 meter diving board that the concrete has settled on the base of that diving board by, yeah, at least 2 or 3 inches. So at some point, the state's gonna go, you're gonna have to fix that. And that requires us to replace the deck around there. Not an easy task. So we are going to spend money. The dollar amount and the options will be presented to you, and you get the lucky job of saying which ones we're gonna do.
In addition to it,
That's okay. I was just gonna say to Scott's point, at least we are well positioned to better make decisions on it because of that.
Yeah, we have all the answers on, like I said, what a new one will cost, here's what a renovated one costs, here's all the options, you guys can kind of mix and match, and, yeah, I feel like over the last year and a half, we've got everything we can as far as information in front of you.
And that included what I felt was very important, and that was the survey that was done in the community. Because part of what runs through my mind is, why would we even spend $1 million or $2 million on this when we could use it for something else? Well, it's because the city of Mount Vernon clearly in the survey said, we want a pool.
I agree.
Yeah, I think if you just ran the swimming lessons numbers, just swimming lessons, not even like open swim or anything like that, but just swimming numbers, it's incredible how many kids go through that.
Swim team is a big program. Will we
Our
be
kids.
able to host
I was.
meets through this process?
It wouldn't necessarily change what we do on swimming clothes. I mean, lane markers and things like that, we can purchase as we're doing the renovations, but it won't change the base of the pool. I absolutely plan on getting rid of that tree, because I can't stand it. It is half dead and it just drives me crazy. It is the lone tree inside the fenced area
Yeah.
that's half alive and half dead.
Yeah.
And I have to look the other way every time I'm there. So, shade structures, whether or not we decide to push some of that concrete out. So here's the thing too. I've talked to Elvin, we've got a great staff, they're great with concrete. We could potentially do some of the concrete work on that side that's not necessarily, next to the pool ourselves. So, I mean, that might be something that we look to do so that we can kind of cut some of the cost out, but some of the renovations to currently Katie's office is awful. Where we sell concessions is awful. And I just feel bad that we're not doing more. So, we're, like I said, there's gonna be some things that we do and that will have to be done, and then there'll be options for you to consider.
Well, thanks for the update, and we'll look forward to seeing what they come back with.
Any further comments about that item? We'll move to the water tower and Verizon proposal.
So this one's a little interesting, and I essentially told Verizon's rep that I would get your opinion. So, whatever they're doing with the 5G and changes to the cell network requires new equipment. Usually not a big issue. Our leases allow them to come in, change their equipment out, they give us notice, so on and so forth. Whatever equipment that Verizon and I had similar conversations with US Cellular would require changes to the base of our water tower, so they determine wind loads on an empty tower up to 80 miles an hour. I mean, the specifics that they kind of went through with me, I'm glad you can calculate that. Require changes to the base. The changes to the base are not needed for the city. So we do not have to do this because our water tower needs it. The reason that I'm bringing this in front of you is Verizon does pay us a little over $2,200 a month in rent to utilize that space. All told, what do they get, about $5,000 or $6,000 a month?
From the three.
Yeah, between $5,000 and $6,000 a month in tower rent from cell companies. And two of them have obviously indicated that they would like to do improvements. Those improvements are about $150,000. So what Verizon has floated to me is if the city would be willing. US Cellular had kind of backed away and said they're just not ready to do something that big. Verizon, on the other hand, appears to be, and made the request of staff if there was any way the city would want to split those costs, and by splitting those costs, reduce their tower rent. So she's proposing a 50-50 split. I see no reason to go a 50-50 split. That's not something that we necessarily need. Now, we do get the revenue, obviously.
What's the length of time on that contract?
The revenue is perpetual, basically, just a
So,
revolving.
until notice? Okay.
Well, at some point, it probably would be to the benefit of the city of, and citizens of Mount Vernon, that we have different equipment up on top of the water towers.
Correct.
Whether it be a year or two, we don't need it now, and so we're gonna be faced with this at some point in the future anyway.
Right.
So you're thinking about some negotiations here?
Yeah, and I have nothing to hide. I wouldn't probably put more than between 30 and 40% on the table, and it would just be a reduction in tower rent, no more than 50% until it's paid off. So it reduces their cost. You know, we would get about $1,000 less. The only thing that I have to try and figure out is now if another US cellular company decides to now put equipment over there, I think we would have to determine with Verizon, like, how are we gonna get a credit for that? So if we agree to, say, a 30-70 split or a 60-40 split, then whatever company comes in and wants to partake in that, their cost would be split between the two entities, 60-40 as far as the reduction goes. So if it's 150,000 and US Cellular comes in.
Why would any other company have to get in on that deal? If they come in new? I mean, maybe it's an obvious answer, but I don't, why wouldn't they just pay?
You're saying if Verizon is already willing to pay for it, why would US Cellular offer?
If, let's say Verizon doesn't have anything up on top of the tower, they come in, they say, yeah, and we'll say our standard rent for this is $5,000 a month or
Correct.
$200 a month.
I would say it's not necessarily anybody new, it would be the existing cell companies that want to come up and make changes because it's heavier. Their equipment is obviously heavier, which was necessary.
And I'm not talking about the existing.
No, the new ones, it's negotiated on a
Okay.
case-by-case basis, so consequently, we don't have any more room, so there isn't going to be anybody new unless one of the existing steps away.
But
But,
building a base, they'll be building
Yeah.
a new lid.
we don't have any more room along the railing above, and that's where they put all their equipment. But the point back to them is, I don't want to see happen is Verizon go ahead and spend $150,000, and we work out a deal with them, and US Cellular comes in 2 months after the project is done and says, oh, we want to do the same thing now. That's fine, your cost would be X to do this. Whatever the split is, that portion goes to Verizon, and then the rest goes to us, and we could reduce the overall cost.
Is there, so not to add another wrinkle, but one of the things that I've talked about on a couple of occasions is the potential for providing internet hotspots in, say, the pool or at Elliott or, some of the, and is there room in these negotiations for Verizon or US or whoever to put some drops at some of those locations so that if you're at the pool, you can access, we've got a Wi-Fi hotspot available for
Great idea, Scott.
an hour of internet or whatever.
So I would say this, I can go that route with them too. It would probably be closer to the 50-50 split if we did, to say, I tell you what, we'll do the 50%, but we want
That's
hotspot
great,
locations
because
at
that's
all
going
of
to
our.
provide their motivation to get it done.
Yeah,
Or
I mean,
possibly, I really like
I
that.
think we can do just about anything, and that's kind of why I wanted to bring this to you first, to see if there was any interest whatsoever in negotiating with them, and B, what would you like me to negotiate with them about?
I mean, the flip side, and I pay T-Mobile $50 a month for unlimited internet with a 5G hotspot. So the other side would be, is it just going to be cheaper for us, if this is something we want to do, to just get 5 of those, pay $250 a month, and now we've got internet at all the places we
Well,
want.
and so-
And I don't,
Or with
Or-
Mechanicsville, who's just from.
so.
And I would say this too, we're still looking at a pilot program in the downtown. If that holds true, then just because it would be downtown doesn't mean that we couldn't purchase the same things and put them in other locations, and would that be sufficient? I don't know. I would probably, personally, I would stick with negotiating the cost portion of it, and then see if we can figure out a way to make that happen. So I guess my thought is if we are chosen to be a pilot program and we do make the renovations to these poles and they work as brilliantly as we hope they do, then to start doing that at each of the park locations on our end, and then hopefully this kind of grows organically throughout. But Alliance not opposed to that, but we would have to figure out who's got availability in those areas because they would have to be connected somehow.
I mean, I'd take Craig's point that, cell coverage has become secondary to water service, right? I mean, it's quickly approaching those levels, and so, either they do it or somebody else is gonna have to come in and do it, because that's where the equipment's going.
Well, and I would say I'm the same as you. I use T-Mobile, and it's the best internet service I've had, but I am
Not a commercial for T-Mobile, it is phenomenal.
I am closer to the water tower than most, but it is the best internet service I have had in 10 years. So I do think that there is possibilities that the cell companies are going to continue to expand that process. But yeah, I definitely, the other part to this is definitely not going to hurt our water tower. It's only going to make it more structurally sound.
Sure.
So there is a benefit to these improvements being made. It's just not necessariness for us to do. I don't know. So if you're okay with that, I'll shoot an email back to her to see where the negotiations go. This would be an amendment to the contract of some sort moving forward, so you would see this again. It's not as if I would just go and do this. You would have to approve the contract amendment.
From where I sit, please continue the conversation. Thanks for bringing it to our attention. Good discussion all the way around. Reports of mayor and council administrator. With regard to mayor report, I would mention that now the election is done, this is the time of the year when I go and visit all the city commissions councils, and with a three-piece agenda. I thank them on behalf of the council for their service to their commission. I ask them if they have any overall questions about what's going on in the city. I also encourage them to ask the question that, think about being on council down the road. Get that thought in the head. And that make sure I catch that. I think I've got one left to do, Board of Adjustment, I believe. So I'm making those rounds. In those meetings, I've learned that from historic preservation, that the glass negatives that were donated and available in Florida, that a Facebook posting went out, and a family that happened to be traveling back from Florida brought those back to Mount Vernon. So they are here. So that was good to hear. At the Library Commission meeting, I found out that we were able to archive back to 1856, I think, at a cost that I just gave Marcia of $1,350. That had the library, host, newspaper archives in the cloud. We're not microfiching anymore. So filling in some gaps, getting it in that format, and then a plan with the Sun's Corporation Board of Communication of how that will continue in the future. So that was very productive. I learned that. For your information, I'm going to catch a Municipal Leadership Academy with our new member, Mr. Andreessen, this Saturday in Cedar Rapids. I don't know if everybody got copied on this, but the old Child Care Solutions Group, another daycare in Lisbon is going to be closing up, in-home daycare with 11 families and 17 children. That's going to close at the end of this school year in May. So that's just making that challenge even more so. Economic Alliance legislative launch is at Cedar Ridge Brewery this Wednesday. I cannot attend. I don't know if anybody else wants to attend. I don't know if you attend. But it's, I think, an opportunity for municipalities to kind of identify what legislative features they want to focus on?
I will not, only because as part of the Iowa City Managers Group, I'm on that side of things too, so.
And speaking of that, that's one reason that you see some notices about joining in a challenge to align for the next rate increase for the Iowa Utilities Board. At the same time, we're also partnering, and have been in discussion for at least 6 months, if not longer, with Alliant on the lighting project in Main Street. So Chris and I have taken the position to abstain and not engage in that one way or the other. So hopefully that's okay. That's what we're doing on that. Any council reports? Committee reports?
Just at the Mount Vernon-Lisbon Child Care group is meeting after about a 1-month hiatus this Friday, and so we're going to re-engage here.
Ribbon cutting was at noon today for the second site. Good crowd there. Anything else from city administrator's report?
No, the two highlights, obviously, December 22nd, we'll have our recognition dinner here. We have 8 awards to give out this year for various years of service, even 30 years. So I invite the council every year. You're welcome to attend that. It's basically the city provides the main course, and then everybody brings. It's kind of a potluck thing, but that will be December 22nd, 12 to 2. City Hall is usually closed during that 2-hour period. It doesn't necessarily stay the whole 2 hours though, because people are done eating and then go upstairs. But the sign will be on the door. The only other thing that I have, just so you're aware, is our vision insurance is 100% self-funded. And I was unaware that we were only allowing staff to get an eye exam every 2 years. Unfortunately, if you have contacts, they need to do it on a yearly basis. So I made that change with IGHCP and EBS. It's not a significant dollar amount on our behalf, but it didn't make any sense to me that our staff had to pay their own vision exam every other year. So when I talked, or actually when Lori talked to IGHCP, they were a little floored that our insurance has a antiquated.
Yes. As was the eye clinic.
So, so we did make that change. Again, not anything significant, but just wanted to give you.
What is if you need an eye exam?
So, yeah, I'm finding that I need an eye exam now, more so than I have in the past. But other than that, because it was brought up tonight and I didn't stick around to get the answers. No, the LBC has not operated in the black quite yet, but that is the reason that we maintain a portion of the local option sales tax so that we wouldn't have to find other money in order to make that work. And so I will say that the LBC has a healthy balance for apparatus and all of the equipment as far as being able to fix and replace those things in the future. And when the community has the option to look at local option sales tax again in 2034, they can make a determination then. But until that date, we have...
2034?
Yeah, I believe that's the date that they
11 years from now.
vote on it again. But again, that's the reason we did. We also extended memberships through COVID. We were closed through COVID, so I don't have any qualms about where we're at currently. That was the first thing. The second thing, because I've heard this quite a bit in the past few months from various people. The city put out an article and a notice regarding the old fire station, and exactly 2 people made any effort to submit anything. And this is the first time that I've heard anything about a veterans specific, outside of we should collect scrap metal and then donate that to veterans. It was nothing about an actual veterans facility. So when we went through that process, and we discussed it ad nauseum for almost 2 years, 2 people showed up. Now, yes, one happens to work for the city. She also has 2 partners. The state of Iowa granted the money, the $100,000. The city had nothing to do with it. So while I respect what was being proposed tonight, it was never put forward in kind of those terms. So I think we have shown before in the past that we are very veteran friendly. The renovations on the other side of that wall, we've already talked to the VFW about what we plan to do as far as cases and things like that. Lori spent last week on the phone with an individual from Colorado that has Civil War history from individuals that lived in Mount Vernon. And hopefully we will be able to showcase some of that. We've transitioned and gave them the entire room after we moved to historic preservation upstairs. So there's a number of things that we've done. I will say that Veterans Affairs is a kind of a tricky wicket when it comes to it is run by the federal government down through counties, and very few municipalities are involved in that specifics as far as counseling services and things of that nature. It's just other agencies are required to do that. So I just wanted to kind of get those out there. I know that the public comment isn't a back and forth, and I don't know that that individual is actually looking for answers. But there they are, nonetheless.
Since you opened the topic, indulge me a few minutes here. This is addressing public comment and so on. Recognize that city council meetings, school board meetings, are meetings in the public, but they are not of the public. They're in the public in that they have posted agendas at a certain time, in a certain format, at a certain location, on a certain day of the week, etc. They are in the public, and then everybody is invited, and public comment section is deliberately on the front end of the agenda, and is trying to be welcoming as much as possible towards public comment. But it is, city council meeting is a meeting, it may be in the public, but it's not of the public. It is the meeting of the city council. You are, by being elected, being selected by the citizens of this community, because you have an obligation to work on the business of the community. And the staff presents their topics and presents the information for us to act on, gives us advice and so on. So it is council's meeting. It happens to be in the public. But sometimes people don't always appreciate that. I think if there was a topic that came up, and when it's deliberately, public comment is public comment. We're not debating back and forth. We're not.
It is a public conversation.
It's not public conversation. You can't make decisions. I mean, we can't make a decision to say, yes, we should go.
That would be a disservice.
And that's opposed to it's not against open meetings posting. I mean, there's so many reasons for that to not, and that's why we listen. And if a council member wants to take up some topic that was presented there as an agenda item, you've got an opportunity to do that. If you do not have an interest in that, then it doesn't come up before the council as a whole. So I just want to make sure people recognize the difference of meetings like this being in the public, but not of the public. It is your obligation up here. And my final point is, civility does matter.
Agreed.
I agree with the young people in the hallway that could clearly hear the words that were chosen. I believe that was completely inappropriate. And they were here to celebrate their father.
Yes.
So I felt that.
Not a good representation of democracy at a local level, was it, at that point?
Or of Veterans Affairs, frankly.
No. Or public safety, or.
I got the soapbox. Anything else that needs to be addressed at this meeting?
I think the only thing I would add is that we're very careful about the open meetings laws, and I sure that you are posting the information, you know, we are indicating when we have time for public comment, but also open hearings about input, so.
And the request for action forms have been in the same location for the 7 years that I've been here. Both individuals have been told that multiple times. We do not, I will say this, my staff does not have the time to actively drive around the community each and every day looking for violations of the code. And I can't imagine that this council room would be that empty if we did. The request for action form is there so that people can file a complaint. When the new website comes up, you're going to be able to do that online. And staff addresses it. Now, some are legally lengthier than others, depending on what they are. But with all that being said, the process has been the same for a number of years. Yeah.
I think that's enough on that.
I stand by the council, I stand by the actions of this council and the staff, and anything else needs to come before this group? Otherwise, we are adjourned. Thank you very much. Look at the worst.